ever wondered why we call the gorge system here the timeless land? It's just because of the age of the rock. If we took every one of those millions of years and put it into a page in a book of history, us humans, we don't show up until the very last sentence in that book.
Mataranka, the departure thereof. And once again, we join the queue of caravans heading north. Katherine 104, so...
And Darwin 420.
We could go to Darwin today. But we are booked in Katherine, so we'll stop there. How you going? 107.
Okay.
Righto, right hand down, away we go.
Righto.
A little bit of left, just a little bit. Now back on your right again now, faster. Lock. Keep it going. You're right. Keep your right hand down a bit. That's the way. Keep it going. Now back on your left. More left. Hard left. Keep it going. Hard left.
Hard left.
Hard left. Stop there. That'll do you guys. You're home.
Excellent, thank you very much.
Hello, we're on the Cutta Cutta cave tour, just starting off.
It's a pretty dry, humid cave, so they pretty much call it a tropical cave. So the only time that these formations pretty much grow is after the wet season. So right about now, you'll actually start seeing all this water coming through with all our formations. So we'll make our way through to the first chamber, and I'll give you a bit more talk about all the formations. The other formation we also have is what's called a flow stone. So this one here is pretty much looks like a frozen waterfall. Well, that's the nickname we sort of gave it, because it sort of looks like a frozen waterfall. That's pretty much the flood mark from 2 years ago. So the last 2 years of rain was pretty poor, so this cave didn't go underwater at all. That's one of the biggest columns we have in the cave system. Size is starting to be 5 to 10 million years old. When the water table does rise up from the bottom to the top, this whole cave system actually gets full. So when it does get full, it slowly drains out.
From the mouth of the cave entrance, we continue our walk. So we do a bit of a climb up over the top of the entrance of the cave, back to the visitor centre. Very rocky ground. The first thing the guide did was to caution us on minding where we tread with respect to all of the limestone around on the ground. As he said, if you bump into it, it could ruin your whole day, which I believe is very, very sharp. What an impressive rock field. It's like a forest of it. Interesting that the guide told us that the cave was discovered by a cattle drover called Schmidt who was driving his cattle up to Katherine from Mataranka and noticed that a number of cattle were missing when he got there. He went back in search of the cattle and found them all milling around the cave entrance because they could smell the humidity inside and believed it was water, so they were trying to get a drink.
Now we're at Katherine Gorge and we're just about to go for the walk.
This is, or rather, that is the short 650 metre climb to the Burraway Lookout, which I've decided to do today because I can't be bothered doing it tomorrow. So, off you go. Well, I've made it this far anyway. We'll see how we go. The view is pretty impressive, I've got to say. So there it is, there's the first of the two gorges. We won't be hiking along to see the other one, we'll be doing that on the boat tour tomorrow night.
That's pretty handy having the hospital and the cemetery side by side.
Yeah. Not sure whether it fills me with a whole bunch of confidence or not.
Today we are at the Katherine Museum. Just had a look at a variety of exhibits inside and a 25-minute documentary produced by the ABC on the 1998 floods, which inundated the whole area and it was declared a national disaster. Katherine's been rebuilt, but in those floods the river got to a record level of 20.4 metres and covered most of the surrounding area. This is the Clyde Fenton Gallery. Dr. Clyde Fenton became a hero in the Katherine area. He obtained his pilot's licence so he could join the Royal Flying Doctor Service. However, it was the policy of its founder, John Flynn, not to use doctors as pilots. Undeterred, Fenton raised money privately to purchase an aircraft of his own and started an aerial ambulance service which grew into the Northern Territory Aerial Medical Service.
That weren't there yesterday.
No.
Development back of the truck.
Alrighty folks, good afternoon to you all. Welcome aboard. How's everyone doing today? Pretty good? Yeah, what about the rest of you? Alright? Well folks, my name's Alan. I'll be taking care of you for the evening. So as we head up the river here folks, keep an eye along the banks. We might be lucky enough to see some wildlife on the way up. Maybe a few birds, a couple of crocodiles. We'll definitely pull up and have a look at a few of them.
There's the lookout I went to.
We're just entering the first out of 13 gorges that we have. Now the reason why we have 13 gorges is because the entire system has been separated into 13 parts, and that's due to a series of natural rock bars and rapids. This entire gorge system stretches to about 16.5 kilometres. Now the river starts in Cutta Cutta, it flows down past the township of Katherine, and then it eventually flows into the Daly River. The Daly River then heads out into the Timor Sea, so we're roughly about 200 kilometres upstream of the sea. As the years went on, Jarwin eventually wanted to move back to the gorge system here. Not only because it was their homelands, but being custodians, they had a responsibility to look after it and protect all of its special areas. Now, as that handover occurred, the Jarwins still wanted to keep the place open as a national park. So this way we could continue to visit and enjoy it, but at the same time, allowing the Jarwin to protect all those areas. Just have a quick look at a crocodile up here on the bank. So this one's a freshwater crocodile, folks. Now, we're only going to be seeing freshies today. We don't have any saltwater crocodiles in the river. Probably see a few more folks, we obviously won't stop for all of them. We might run out of time. But since then it's been renamed from Katherine Gorge back to its original name, Nitmiluk. The name Nitmiluk comes from two Jarwin words. You've got Nitmi and then Luk. Nitmi is the Jarwin word for the cicada, or the cicada. As we get up around the next bend here, you're going to have a really nice view of the top of the first gorge. And this is where the gorge starts to take its true shape and form. Alrighty folks, now up ahead of us, that's the top of the first gorge. Pretty soon you'll see some rocks and some rapids in the middle of the river. Now this is that natural rock bar separating the first two gorges. It's going to stop us driving any further. So what we're going to do up here is park the boat and we're going to walk around the rapids to our next boat. Alrighty folks, so this is the beginning of the second gorge. Probably the nicest of all gorges that we have. The first main feature is a large cliff that's on our right. This one we call Jedda's Rock. Jedda's Rock here was made famous by the movie Jeddah, made back in 1955 by Charles Chevelle. Jeddah was Australia's first full-length movie to be made in colour, and also the first one to star Aboriginal actors. Now this is extremely old rock. It's roughly 1,650 million years old, which I wouldn't say predates life, but you're probably not going to find any bones or fossils in it. As for the colour of the rock, what you can see here is only staining on the outside. All the black stains is just the algae from the waterfalls we get in the wet. The reds and the oranges, that's a mineral called iron oxide. Now that's just rusting on the outside of the rock. Iron oxide is also one of those main particles or main sediments that's bonding all the sand together, creating the sandstone. So because of that iron oxide and also the age of the sandstone, it makes it some of the hardest sandstone in the world. A lot of people wonder if we see any rock falls. In the 14 years I've worked here, I've never seen anything falling off the cliffs. Pretty solid stuff. A lot of the boulders that are sort of balancing on the edge of the cliffs up there, they've been sitting there for thousands of years. Now folks, this view upstream here, the most photographed part of the gorge, we call this on the Katherine Canyon. So this is the image you'll usually see on all the brochures and the souvenirs. You might even recognise it from an early 90s TV ad. Daryl Summers sitting here in a little airbed saying you'll never know if you never go. But also, just along the right hand side, you'll see you've got a lot of ferns growing out of the rock wall. These are 5-fingered ferns and maidenhair ferns. Now there's no traditional use for these ferns, but they're a really good indicator as to where to find seepage water. You'll see there's a bit of water that's dripping into the river underneath them. Now sandstone here, it's a very porous rock. It soaks in a lot of moisture. Just up on top of the escarpment here, there's a large swamp, called Dunlop Swamp. Sandstone block will soak up all the water from that swamp. It will travel through the whole rock shelf and come out along the cliff. It'll take a few months for that water to get all the way through, and it gets filtered running through that sandstone block. So that's extremely clean drinking water. But they say all that water coming through a 90 acres is enough to fill up an empty Sydney harbour in 9 hours. So with all that flood water exited the gorge downstream, it then spread out over a large area and went straight through the township of Katherine. From Katherine under 3 metres of water on Australia Day 1998.
James McDowell Stewart named Katherine after Chambers' daughter.
Yeah, Catherine.
Katherine, but she was spelled Katherine with a C.
Yeah.
So he misnamed even though he named it after her, he got the spelling wrong. But they've never fixed it. They just left it that way. Yeah, it's the sentiment that counts.
Yes.